Alrighty, guys. Good evening. Happy fucking Montoos. Everything's going well this evening, guys. Good. Oh my god, it is hot as balls. It's actually cooler than yesterday, but it's more humid and it feels worse. Jesus Christ. Good. I swear to fucking God, guys, every time I start my stream, people want to talk to me. There's nothing to do. They have no idea that I'm streaming. They just know that I am busy, and then all of a sudden they want my time. No idea why. Also, good evening, Kenny. I don't know. Coffee's brewing, guys. So I had to send in my laptop. Probably going to take a month. I had to send in my laptop in order to get it repaired. Lenovo laptop in order to get it repaired. And I'm on my old laptop, and holy shit, it is slow as fuck. And more annoying than that is the keyboard. It was going on it, and it's still going on it. And sometimes it just doesn't type properly, and that is absolutely obnoxious. Also, for some reason, it switches back and forth between the integrated GPU and the external GPU just on a whim. It doesn't even seem to make sense. It's really, really annoying. Bye. I'm gonna start streaming, guys. People just want to talk to me. I'm available most of the time throughout the night. And start streaming. Hey, look, I'm even streaming later. Oh no, let's talk. Let's talk, guys, right now. Have a heart to heart right now. 2 in the morning. Ah, good stuff. That'll happen though. Good. I still can't figure out how to turn off stop it from going onto the integrated graphics. Like it's supposed to be set to not go on integrated graphics. It does it anyways. It's like when I'm not looking, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go back on GPU 0 instead of GPU 1, which is my actual video card. Don't know why. Absolutely no idea why. And then it goes flip-flops back and forth between the two. And whenever it goes to the integrated graphics, it causes the laptop to just heat up. For no apparent reason. Other than the fact it's like, hey, this must be more, must be better. Fuck. I don't know, guys. Now it's all on integrated GPU. I'm playing a game. Doesn't even make sense. Like, it's a huge difference in performance, too, between the integrated and the external GPU. It really likes using that integrated graphics to save on power or something. Outdated drivers. Still doing it. Still doing it. Yeah, it's just like we're just gonna sit on GPU 0, which is integrated graphics, absolutely slow as shit, and then causes everything to get juicy hot. Well, there's that. Okay. Good. I have to wait and fix that later. Part of the problem is because I use it to monitor my stream too, and it's being a nerd. Makes it very difficult to monitor the stream. Good. I mean, I have to reinstall my NVIDIA driver too? I don't even know. It's locking up or something? I don't even... Like, it switches it... I think Windows thinks it's smarter than it actually is. When I switch a game to the front and leave it on the front for, like, maybe 10-15 seconds, then it'll switch over to the discrete GPU. Then if I minimize it, it goes back to integrated GPU. And the utilization between the two is like 60% for the integrated versus like 10 for the dedicated. And it's definitely using less power. Not one at all. I was doing this? Huh. Manually set it. Hmm. No. This is bugging me. You guys couldn't figure that out. Good? Now it's not even going back to the correct GPU. Unbelievable, guys. Oh. Alright, let's see what's going on here tonight. Coffee has had adequate time to cool too. Let's pick that up. Ah. Yeah. Oh, we got motor oil? Motor oil. Another DLSS guide. Interesting. Hot on the heels of the Starfield release. Almost Starfield release. Starfield is going to release in approximately a day. Maybe a day and a half. Depends on when they pick to choose to release it. Increase FPS plus latency. I don't know if you want a plus latency. Ah, boobies mod. Everyone loves boobies. They do that with the mirror. Disruptive switch. Oh my god. Not really interested in CS2 jerking off. CS2 is a dead game in my opinion. It's dead from a developmental standpoint. And apparently from a social and, trending standpoint, you can look at Google Trends for it and just basically no one looks for it. It's apparently a game that no one really talks about or looks for, but apparently is really big. It doesn't really make sense. Good. Let's take a look at a hardware unboxing. There's probably more of the same, and then we're going to take a look at a Project Farm.
welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. Over the last 2 days, we've taken an extensive look into how Starfield runs on a variety of graphics cards, what impact each of the settings has on visuals, and how to optimize performance in GPU-limited scenarios. But Starfield isn't just a demanding game on GPU hardware, it also hits the CPU pretty hard as well, meaning that gamers wanting the ultimate experience will need strong hardware in all areas. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of things. Firstly, how does Starfield run on the minimum spec CPU for the game, AMD's Ryzen 5 2600X, and what sort of experience you can expect from that 5-year-old processor. Then we're going to explore what in-game settings can be tweaked to improve performance in CPU-limited scenarios, and finally we'll wrap things up with a discussion on what can be done about the CPU limit. Fingers crossed we can optimize the experience somewhat for those struggling under the weight of Starfield's CPU demands. If we look at the system requirements for Starfield, the minimum spec does kinda give away that the game is punishing on PC. Starfield requires either a Ryzen 5 2600X or
I'm gonna grab my coffee, guys. Be right back.
6800K at minimum, alongside stuff like 16GB of RAM, an SSD, and GPUs like an RX 5700 or GTX 1070 Ti. If we compare that to other demanding titles from 2023, we see that the typical min-spec CPU is much lower. Star Wars Jedi Survivor isn't known for amazing CPU performance, but its min-spec CPU is the Ryzen 5 1400, and the same CPU is required for Hogwarts Legacy. The Last of Us Part 1 requires a Ryzen 5 1500X. So Starfield requiring at least a 2600X is a hint that this game's CPU demands are higher than other recent titles. So how does Starfield run on the 2600X? I paired this CPU in my test system with 16GB of DDR4 3600 memory and a powerful NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 GPU to assess how it runs while CPU limited. Here we see some gameplay in New Atlantis, a city area of Starfield, and it's those cities that typically see the highest CPU demand in the game. I'm running it at 1080p using ultra settings, and there's a few interesting observations. In terms of frame rate, there's good and bad news. The bad news is that the 2600X is mostly limited to around a 40 FPS average in the most demanding areas.
It's a bit dead?
No.
It's always been dead on streaming platforms, though.
There is also noticeable stuttering with this.
A lot of people play it.
It's not a persistent stutter, but I found repeatable stutters when transitioning between different areas of the open world. As you
It is hot as balls. Lots of balls.
The 2600X really struggles to keep up, and stutters appear, something you don't see on higher-end CPUs which deliver a much smoother experience overall. The good news is that despite being the min-spec CPU, the 2600X doesn't average 30 FPS, which would be a bit of a disaster as a 30 FPS average typically means drops below 30 FPS on a consistent basis. And you never really know what a game developer means when they say min-spec CPU. It can often mean averaging 30 FPS. In the most demanding areas, we did see performance dip to around 30
I mean, that's a really old low-end CPU. Well, relatively old low-end CPU.
You'd see performance above that. The 2600X is therefore borderline playable.
There's a lot of CPUs from the Intel drought, basically when AMD wasn't producing CPUs of any meaningful quality after Bulldozer and Piledriver, in which they basically had no performance gains up until Ryzen released, so it could be worse.
Utilization here. Now these are rough metrics that don't always indicate everything going on in a system and don't necessarily reveal all bottlenecks. But we can see that the 4080 is significantly underutilized on a 2600X at 1080p using ultra settings, 50 to 60% utilization. However, the CPU also doesn't appear to fully max out. At most, we saw utilization top out in the 80 to 90% range. Usage is spread evenly over the cores, and there's no one thread that is getting choked up to 100% utilization.
My computer's throttling?
On other CPUs, we've also seen some systems where individual cores do get maxed out, and others that are more like this.
Laptop.
While there is heavy CPU utilization here and performance does improve with the faster CPU, suggesting some sort of CPU limit, it's hard to know exactly where the bottleneck lies. Is it single-core performance, multi-core performance, cache, memory, front-end? Utilization alone doesn't tell us this.
Their CPU boundary now. Despite the fact that it might look like they're only at 85%, this is basically operating at 150% CPU utilization. Because this is a 4-core processor. It's not 12-core, 6-core processor. So these are actually SMT cores. So right here, these are actually operating at more than 100%, especially this guy right here. This is operating at more than a single core can normally handle. This is basically overtime for a CPU. Anytime you get more than 50% on two virtual cores that are part of the same physical core, which is these two right here, this is a 6-core processor. As you notice here, this is actually operating and milking the CPU for more than it normally can handle, which means this is very much a CPU-bound scenario. Even though it's not directly at 100%, you'll almost never get direct 100% with SMT or hyper-threading on, with the exception being, with virtual or synthetic tasks, such as like WinRAR or synthetic benchmark. You will not generally get 100%, but anytime you're over 50% utilization per core, per virtual core, and they're of the same physical core, that's over 100% normal utilization. So this is definitely a CPU-bound scenario. $140, 151. This is a hardware benchmarker too. I don't know why he's not catching this right now. The most egregious of these is the 80%, and I mean all these are almost at 150% core utilization. My guess is the game is actually stopping the computer from using the cores more than that because it's probably choking on the work. Like if you get SMT like up to 100%, that computer is going to be basically unusable, absolutely unusable, because these are two physical cores. This is a 6-core processor. This is a physical core. This is a physical core. Physical, etc., etc. These are pairs of virtual cores that are basically taking on more work, and the thread scheduler is trying to organize the work to make it so it can put more throughput through the processor at the expense of responsiveness and latency. That's why I almost always will turn off SMT or hyperthreading. But they should have immediately been able to recognize this, though. Maybe it's because I'm using DirectX 12? Kind of off topic here.
It's easy to fall into the trap of looking at these numbers and thinking something is wrong with your system. This may just be how the stats look in Starfield 4 CPU limit. The situation doesn't change all that much testing the 2600 Fs and thinking something is wrong. Core performance, multi-core performance, cache, memory, front end, utilization alone doesn't tell us this, and it's easy to fall into the trap of looking at these numbers.
More than that, something's like 160%. Look at that.
This may just be how the stats look in Starfield 4 CPU limit. The situation doesn't change all that much testing the 2600X using 1080p low settings without upscaling. The game is still CPU limited, and you're unlikely to see much more than 45 FPS.
Jesus Christ, this is 100% CPU bound.
In the most demanding areas. This doesn't bode well for CPU scaling across the various quality settings, but we'll explore that soon. With the min-spec CPU, you'll likely be CPU bottlenecked even with much weaker graphics cards than the 4080. This is how the game runs using 1080p Ultra settings on an RTX 3070. In New Atlantis, with this setup, the game fluctuates between being CPU and GPU limited, so any GPUs below this sort of performance tier are likely to remain
It's always CPU
limited,
bottlenecked. According to this, it's always CPU bottlenecked.
Won't improve performance. If you're targeting 1080p low settings at a native 1080p without upscaling, you'll need to drop down to around RTX 3050 levels of GPU horsepower to shift the performance limit from the CPU to the GPU. Even an RTX 3060 runs into the performance limits of the Ryzen 5 2600X under these conditions. So for those running budget hardware, you might find a CPU upgrade.
Also, by the way, this is, well, I turn off hyperthreading and SMT, which is the same thing that's AMD's version. Well, I turn off hyperthreading and SMT all the time on my systems because it makes the game, makes everything feel more responsive, and in general run into less stuttering. If you have a low-end CPU, you definitely don't want to turn it off because this is basically the CPU's crying right now. The weird thing is he doesn't seem to recognize that the CPU is basically working in overtime here. This doesn't need to be 100% for this to be CPU bound. This is 100% CPU bound because this is SMT. Anytime it's over 100%, this means each virtual core is at 90 or 72%, 90 or 72% here. That means the physical core is taking on a lot more work than it normally would be capable of doing so.
Is more meaningful than a GPU upgrade. Can anything be done to improve performance in CPU limited areas via adjusting settings? Well, let's explore every setting in this game to find out, tested using a Ryzen 5 2600X at a native 1080p without upscaling. The GPU used here is the GeForce RTX 4070 to avoid any GPU bottlenecks, so we've upgraded a bit from the 3070 that we were using for the GPU video. Preset scaling is highly indicative of what is to come. When CPU limited, there is next to no difference in performance dropping from the Ultra preset to high, and just a 5% gain to average FPS when dropping to medium. The low preset with FSR2 disabled leads to a 10% improvement in average FPS and a 12% improvement.
Why am I in the Overwatch 2 directory, guys?
Though it doesn't do much to
Dude, Kick, I swear to God. They do not like, apparently, people being in the... Hey, look, this guy has Overwatch on the screen. He must be playing Overwatch.
Really going to transform your gaming experience when CPU limited.
I'm playing Overwatch right now.
Expected to some degree, as most game presets are designed for
looks like they monitor the just
across a
chatting
variety of
category
GPUs,
specifically.
not CPUs. It's much harder to adjust CPU performance using settings without sacrificing fundamental aspects to the game that affect gameplay or in-game systems and capabilities, and clearly Bethesda aren't willing to do that. Where this leaves us is that for most CPU-limited gamers, you're better off playing the game on settings that are as high as possible without pushing into a hard GPU limit and reducing performance. If you have a capable graphics card, increasing the resolution and turning up settings has little effect on performance under a CPU limit, and you may as well enjoy higher quality visuals. A big trap you can fall into is thinking that under a CPU limit with such mediocre performance, you'll have to be playing on low settings, otherwise you'll be crippled. That isn't the case. Many settings will have no impact at all. In fact, on the Ryzen 5 2600X, the following settings can be cranked up to the maximum with no impact to FPS, provided of course you have the GPU headroom. Those are indirect lighting, reflections, particle quality, motion blur, GTAO quality, contact shadows, VRS, and depth of field. They all saw no impact to average performance and margin of error differences to 1% lows. Therefore, when CPU limited, all of these settings should be set to Ultra, if of course your GPU can handle it. What's also crucial to note is that resolution scaling has no impact on performance either. This is essential knowledge, as all graphics presets use FSR2 with very
render scale is generally one of the last things I turn down. That's like turning down your resolution. I don't know why you'd ever touch render scale. That's the last thing you should touch, because in my personal opinion, when you start messing with render scale, it makes everything look like garbage.
You are simply sacrificing visual quality by leaving resolution scaling on. The low setting, for example, looks horrendous with its 50% resolution
Same thing in
scale at
Cyberpunk.
1080p, like a disgustingly bad, blurry mess. But running FSR2 at 50% with the CPU limit makes no sense, as it has no performance benefit, so be sure to disable that. Some settings have a minor impact to performance. Shadow quality, for example, saw up to a 4% performance improvement, dropping from ultra to low.
So basically, this
Given
game's
this is
almost
one of the more
always
demanding
CPU
settings
bound
the GPU,
on low-end
it's possible
CPUs.
This improvement is largely due to reducing GPU load. Even if CPU work is a large component of overall render time, reducing GPU work can shorten the time it takes to render a frame slightly and thus deliver a performance benefit. From what we've seen previously in terms of visual quality, CPU-limited gamers might want to explore using medium shadow quality for a small boost to FPS. I did see around a 3% gain to 1% low FPS when reducing volumetric lighting quality from ultra to high. I'd recommend doing this as it has very little impact to visual quality, however it's a minor change that doesn't affect average performance to any significant degree. Crowd density is one setting that does improve performance under a CPU limit, but the gain isn't substantial in the area we tested. A 3% advantage for using medium over high and a 4% gain for low over high with a 6% improvement to 1% lows. While GPU limited, this setting only had about a 2% impact, so it seems that this is one of the only settings that actually does reduce CPU load slightly. While it does also reduce the amount of NPCs loaded into the busier areas of the game, if you're desperate for more performance, then turning this to low does make sense, and it doesn't drastically alter the game's presentation, just don't expect a massive performance jump. I was also expecting grass quality to have an impact on CPU limited performance, as often level of detail settings like this can reduce CPU load on lower modes. However, most of the areas we found with grass and foliage are highly GPU limited, so this setting makes little to no difference to CPU performance. I think we'd only see a gain from a more general LOD setting that would reduce the number of objects rendered in city areas, or perhaps cut down on draw distance, but Starfield doesn't offer this setting at all, and is partly why the quality settings do very little to address CPU limited performance. Ultimately, for CPU-limited gamers, there aren't many settings to optimize. We'd recommend turning crowd density to low, probably shadows to medium and volumetric lighting to high, then turning up every other setting as high as your GPU will allow. While this won't affect performance all that much, maybe a 10% gain at best, at least you'll be enjoying a much better visual experience than if you had turned everything to low in search of performance, or worse still, used the medium or low presets, which set the render scale to 50%. So for gamers that are looking to improve Starfield's performance under a heavy CPU limit in demanding areas of the game, the best option here is to cry, because there are few, if any, options built into the game to improve CPU performance, even if you want to sacrifice visuals. This isn't especially unusual, as most games don't have many, or in some cases any, settings to allow it to scale across a wide variety of CPU hardware, but it does sting the hardest when you get a particularly demanding game like Starfield. Aside from crying, the next best choice is to drop a few settings in the game, such as crowd density, which do have a small impact on CPU performance. Outside of this, we'd strongly recommend running every other setting on as high of a setting as your graphics card will allow. This is unlikely to have any impact to CPU performance, while giving you a much higher level of visual quality than if you decided to use all...
One of the reasons, guys, I'll never mess with, like, I never want to be CPU bound ever. Like, people can say what they want about doing the bare minimum when you buy a CPU, right? Get a 6-core. Right now, bare minimum is a 6-core processor. It is, yeah, like he said, it's crying, basically. you want at least an 8-core processor, and you probably have for like the last 2 generations, because there's nothing, you can't really do anything when you're CPU bound. You're fucked. Just the way that it goes, you're just screwed. And it's going to mess with everything. Like when you're CPU bound, because Windows runs on your CPU, it can lead to all sorts of weird and nuanced issues with Windows in the background, like input lag, stuttering, hiccups. Your drivers basically have to operate too, in addition to the game. The game can't just eat everything, right?
Low or medium settings. Our GPU optimization guide will come in handy here, and of course, you do need to be somewhat careful, as cranking things up too high will limit performance in areas of the game that aren't as CPU demanding. Beyond this, it might be time to start considering a CPU upgrade. If you are running a minimum spec CPU like the Ryzen 5 2600X, you can get a substantial performance gain from upgrading to a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D on the same motherboard. We'll be looking at CPU performance in an upcoming video, but basically that upgrade should push the CPU limit above 60 FPS in demanding areas, which is a substantial gain. Gamers looking to target over 80 FPS should be considering the very latest hardware, either Ryzen 7000 or Intel's 13th gen. One thing we have seen from past games is that setups with NVIDIA GPUs typically perform worse under CPU limits than setups with AMD GPUs due to the additional CPU side driver overhead on NVIDIA cards. So at times, gamers playing CPU limited games could achieve higher frame rates from swapping out their NVIDIA GPU for an equivalent AMD GPU. In fact, occasionally that would mean a much lower tier AMD card could outperform a much higher tier NVIDIA card. Is this a factor for Starfield? No, is the short answer, at least based on what we've seen testing with the Ryzen 5 2600X. Comparing footage from the GeForce RTX 3070 and Radeon RX 6750 XT side by side shows a very similar experience in New Atlantis, certainly not a large performance boost on the AMD side like we have seen in some other games under similar conditions. This suggests to us that NVIDIA's CPU overhead is not an issue in Starfield, or at the very least, it doesn't conflict with the areas of the CPU.
It actually does look like the right GPU is getting higher FPS, and it's also being utilized less.
Starfield stresses and ultimately limits performance.
On average.
Another option to consider is adding a DLSS 3 frame generation mod to Starfield if you already own a GeForce RTX 40 series graphics card. It may not make
frame
sense
generation
to
is
upgrade to
you.
a 40 series GPU to run frame generation in the game. Depending on how slow your CPU is, a CPU upgrade may be more worthwhile, but the frame generation mode from PureDark is an option, albeit one that costs $5, as this version of the mod is not free like the DLSS 2 version. We tested out the mod in demanding sections like New Atlantis on the 2600X with an RTX 4070, and frame generation does provide a noticeable gain to smoothness. So if you're not satisfied with the fluidity of 45-ish FPS,
and it adds more input
is
latency.
able to bring us at least 75 to 80 FPS in most scenarios. This will be similar if you have a CPU capable of around 60 FPS.
Fake FPS,
frame
guys.
generation will deliver a little under double the frame rate.
Misinformation.
Corresponding gain to smoothness.
The frame rate is
There are some drawbacks to this
misinformation,
approach,
guys.
which is why frame generation is not the perfect solution to alleviating CPU limits. On the 2600X, DLSS 3 does nothing to remove traversal stutter as you move around the game. The only way to solve that issue is a faster processor. DLSS 3 also does not improve latency, so if the reason why you don't like gaming at a CPU-limited 45 FPS is the feel of 45 FPS, frame generation doesn't improve this. At 80 FPS after frame generation, Starfield still felt like it was running at 45 FPS and didn't have the same responsiveness as playing the game on a system that was truly capable of 80 FPS without frame generation. And yes, I tried this side by side, and while frame generation wasn't unusable or anything, in fact the additional smoothness does improve the experience notably in my opinion, it's still not as good as playing with a faster CPU that really delivers the responsiveness of a typical high frame rate experience. If you want to hear more of our thoughts on DLSS 3 in general and expand on all of that sort of thing, our existing videos deep dive into the technology and give much more detail. The other issue with the frame generation mod in Starfield especially is the fact that it's a mod and it's not built into the game. So there are noticeable visual artifacts that I spotted straight away, issues that aren't normally present in the most optimized DLSS 3 games we've tested so far. There were a lot of issues with the crosshair in generated frames, plus other garbling and sizzling at times. This is exacerbated by, in this situation, the low native frame rate of running under a heavy CPU limit. The lower the base frame rate is, the longer each generated frame is displayed, and the more noticeable the artifacts tend to be. I suspect a deeper official integration would have delivered
Oh,
superior
Jesus
image
Christ.
quality.
It
But there's
looks
only
like
so much you can do,
it looks like the crosshair's wiggling. Crosshair's twerking, guys.
and I would have hated seeing Starfield rely even more on upscaling and similar technologies than it already does. With that said, Bethesda should still integrate DLSS and frame generation officially, plus offer FSR3 support when AMD's technology is ready, in addition to continually optimizing overall performance on both the CPU and GPU. So anyway, that's it for this video looking at Starfield CPU optimization. Unfortunately, not a whole lot can be done for those who are significantly CPU limited. We may see more mods in the future look to tackling some of these things. I suspect there will be mods to reduce level of detail and draw distances and things like that, which may have an impact on CPU performance.
Those usually do.
Generally speaking, in games when you are CPU limited, there's not a whole lot you can do. You should probably start looking at things like CPU upgrades and things like that. So anyway, if you do appreciate these videos and things like that, then please do consider supporting us via Patreon or Fairplay. Links to those are in the description below. If you want to see how CPU performance fares across a wide variety of CPUs in the game, we will be back tomorrow with a full CPU benchmark. We've tested a whole range of CPUs, so you can sort of have a look at where you need to upgrade to with your CPU to get the level of performance you may be after in those intensive city areas. So anyway, we'll be getting to that very shortly. But for now, this is it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.
I'm your host, Chris. I think Chris or Tim? Chris. I think that's Chris. We don't see Chris ever because he's on the modder channel. We don't watch that. Fucking Windows. I'm not going to use the GPU that you want me to because I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Let's just make sure that I heard this right at the beginning.
So the bad news is that the 2600X is mostly limited to around a 40 FPS average in the most demanding areas. So this isn't a significant uplift over the consoles, which are capped to 30 FPS. There is also noticeable stuttering with this setup. It's not a persistent stutter, but I found repeatable stutters when transitioning between different areas of the open world. As you traverse the game and these assets need to load in,
Memory in the
2600X
background,
really struggles to keep up and stutters appear, something you don't see on higher end CPUs which deliver a much smoother experience overall. The good news is that despite being the min-spec CPU, the 2600X doesn't average 30 FPS, which would be a bit of a disaster as a 30 FPS average typically means drops below 30 FPS on a consistent basis. And you never really know what a game developer means when they say min-spec CPU. It can often mean averaging 30 FPS. In the most demanding areas, we did see performance dip to around 30 FPS or slightly below at times, but typically you'd see performance above that. The 2600X is therefore borderline playable for gamers satisfied with around a 40 FPS experience, and yes, 40 FPS is quite a bit better than 30 FPS in terms of responsiveness and smoothness. There's also a few interesting observations to be made about GPU and CPU utilization here. Now, these are rough metrics that don't always indicate everything going on in a system and don't necessarily reveal all
I did hear it
bottlenecks.
right.
But
He
we
still
can see
says
that
it's
the 4080
basically
is
CPU limited.
significantly underutilized on a 2600X at 1080p using ultra settings, 50 to 60% utilization. However, the CPU also doesn't appear to fully max out.
Yeah, it's never going to max out. So I did hear that properly, even though he came to the conclusion that this is a CPU-bound scenario. He's not actually noticing that this is basically above 100% utilization for a single physical core.
Most we saw utilization top
Kinda
out
weird.
in the 80 to 90% range. Usage is spread evenly over the cores, and there's no one thread that is getting choked up to 100%.
It doesn't need to be.
utilization.
It's
This
SMT and hyperthreading, which doubles your core count because they're virtual. They're all, like these two guys are on a single CPU. This is a physical core right here that's using two virtual cores. Kind of weird. Like we've seen this before. It seems like and Hub and GN are probably one of the better tech tubers, and they don't seem to notice this. Just kind of weird. Yeah, so we did hear that right. Ah! Ah! I just accidentally clicked a video and then it ate my post. Ah! Luckily, I'm streaming and I can literally just retype what I just lost. Oh, that would be fucking. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. Let's see. No, not there. Go here. That's horrifying. That is absolutely horrifying. I fucking accidentally clicked it. That's horrifying. Okay. Oh, I also copied it to clipboard, but that's an old copy. Yeah, so we did. Virtual. Apparently, Google can't translate. Correct that. That's rough, guys. Yeah, you'd expect Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus to like catch this stuff, right? And go, oh no, it's actually just CPU bound, because you could just turn off hyperthreading or SMT and see it's CPU bound immediately. It is. They're over 50% per C virtual core. When the combined utilization is above 100%. I guess it's a better way of looking at it. Combined utilization is above 100%. of 2 virtual cores. For some reason on Kick, when you have the little preview screen, it's like 1080p for the little preview screen, and it shouldn't be. Fortunate. Let's see if this was on AMD Reddit. We're gonna cross-post this. Probably did, because you can't post on Intel or NVIDIA, so they probably particularly picked the 2600 because they can actually post to the AMD Reddits. Right here. Love to see some other options like SMT. What about SMT? Yeah, if you disable SMT, you're definitely going to lose FPS, but it's definitely CPU bound. If it got anywhere close to like 100% utilization per SMT core, system will literally just grind itself to a halt. As can be witnessed anytime you do like a synthetic benchmark that uses 100% of your CPU, it just literally just chokes it out. Okay. But people aren't recognizing that basically it's overworking the CPU, and it's definitely above 100%. Thin motor oil. Oh my god. This would be kind of a chill one. Let's take a look here.
Motor oils are becoming thinner and thinner. So the question is, does that 0W16 engine oil provide just as much protection as that 5W30? Well, let's find out. We'll see which viscosity of oil feels best when it's extremely cold. We'll see which oil offers the best protection against engine wear. We'll also compare oils to see which is best at resisting thermal breakdown and evaporation. I paid an independent oil testing lab to provide us with a detailed report on all 4 motor oils. Let's send off the oil to an oil testing lab. To avoid a mix-up, I'll label each of the plastic sample bottles. I always shake oil containers before sending off samples just in case part of the additive package has fallen out.
Getting like an ice cream headache here, guys.
The oil testing lab
is sad. Like, I wish this had a cooler, slightly warmer option than it does.
This is the first time I've tested Pennzoil's 0W16 and 0W20 motor oil. At a price of around $26 for a 5-quart container is this Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic 0W16. All 4 of the oils that we'll be testing are made from natural gas. Pennzoil claims that their oil is carbon neutral. All 4 oils we'll be testing are API-SP. At a price of $24 or about $2 less than the 0W16 is this Platinum Full Synthetic SAE 5W30.
Chill ice cream cone, guys.
Also, both oils are API-SP. The 5W30 has the Dexos 1 certification and the 0W16 does not. The high temperature viscosity is the number after the dash and indicates the oil's flow characteristics in a warmed up engine. We won't test the oils at full operating temperature, but we'll see how they perform at around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The oils are arranged in
in numerical order with 0W16 on the left and 5W30 all the way to the right. And all 4 oils are highly motivated, and this is a very close race with 0W16 leading 0W20 by about 2 molecules. And the 0W20 and 5W20 oils are in a very tight race with 5W30 trailing the leaders by about an inch. And a 0W16 first across the finish line. And 0W20 barely edges out 5W20, but it's very close. And it's a 4th place finish for 5W30. We'll first compare the Pennzoil Synthetic 0W16 against the 5W30. Motor oil definitely needs to be able to handle high engine temperature. So let's see how the oils stack up in the next test. Each of the coffee pots weighs a different amount, so I'll measure out precisely 200 grams of oil for each coffee pot. Then I'll crank up the heat to around 410 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours. And both oils look to be about the same color at the start of the test. And we're only 20 minutes into this test, and the 0W16 is becoming really dark quickly while the 5W30 seems unaffected by the heat. I'll rotate the oil containers every 10 minutes just in case one burner is hotter than the other. And both oils seem to be performing very well, but there seems to be more vapor coming out of the 0W16 oil container. High quality oil resists evaporation and thermal breakdown. The test for this is called the NOAC volatility test. It's an ASTM test which exposes oil to a lot more heat than this test to simulate engine operating conditions around the upper piston ring area of an engine. At the end of this test, we'll find out how much evaporation has occurred with each brand. Then we'll use the cooked oil for additional testing to see which oil is the best. It's been right at 2 hours. Once the oil is cooled off, we'll weigh each of the containers to see how much evaporative loss has occurred. The 0W16 started off at 412.12 grams and it now weighs 405.76, a loss of 4.36 grams. And the 5W30 oil started off at 404.67 and it now weighs 401.08, a loss of 3.59 grams. So it's a win for the 5W30. Let's go ahead and test the lubricity or the film strength of the 0W16 against the 5W30 next. We'll begin by adding 40 milliliters of oil that's been exposed to heat into the test cups. I'll coat the test wheel and the test pin with motor oil to avoid damage from a dry start. The lubricity test will provide us with some great information on how the oils perform and anti-wear properties. After the test, we'll compare the size of the wear scars of each of the bearings to determine which oil provides the best film strength. While this test doesn't simulate engine operating conditions perfectly, it'll provide us with some great information. Between each test, I'll use brake parts cleaner to clean the test equipment, and then I'll use sandpaper to resurface the test wheel. And there definitely seems to be less friction with the 5W30 oil. The watt meter is showing less energy usage and the number is dropping quickly. And oil performance on the tester is a combination of anti-wear additives, base oil quality, and to a lesser extent, viscosity. I always label test pins to avoid a mix-up, and I use a microscope with calipers to get an accurate measurement. And the 0W16 test pin is on the left and the 5W30 is on the right. And there's a huge difference between the two, with the 5W30 having an 8% smaller wear scar. Before we kick off the 0W20 and 5W20 oil comparison, let's refill the oil flow tester. Let's place the tester in a freezer that's set to minus 40
It's a lot of glue.
and we'll allow this oil to stay in the freezer overnight. Next, let's compare the 0W20 against the 5W20 oil.
Hot glue's fantastic, guys.
Synthetic, and both oils have the Dexos 1 certification. Both oils
Not what you
also
guys
have
are thinking.
API
I'm sure you're thinking
certification.
something else there.
Let's go ahead and add 200 grams of oil to both of the test containers. Once again, we'll cook the oils for right at 2 hours, and we'll rotate the pots every 10 minutes. And it's been right at 20 minutes, and both oils are still looking as good as new. At 30 minutes, the 0W20 is a little bit darker than the 5W20. And both oils seem to be putting off about the same amount of oil vapor. And this one's going to be very close. And the 2-hour test is over, and the oil has had a couple of hours to cool. The 0W20 started off at 394.64 grams, and it now weighs 390.67, a loss of 3.97 grams. And the 5W20 started off at 429.83 grams, and it now weighs 425.91, a loss of 3.92 grams. So the 5W30 came out on top with the least amount of evaporative loss, followed by the 5W20. However, all 4 oils did perform very well. Since all the oils have cooled off, let's compare the oil flow of the cooked oils to see if the heat exposure has had an impact. Once again, this is going to be a very fast and close race with 3 of the 4 oils out of the gate almost at the same time. And this time, the 0W20 is outrunning the 5W20 by a greater distance. And it's 0W16 for the win, followed by 0W20 in a close second. And 5W20 finished in third, and 5W30 finished in fourth. Let's refill the tester with cooked oil and then place the oil in the freezer to test the cold oil flow performance. The question remains, can the 0W20 or 5W20 oils match the wear resistance of the 5W30? Let's test the 0W20 first. According to the energy use meter, the 0W20 is performing almost the same as the 0W16 at the start of the test. There definitely seems to be more wear taking place compared to the 5W30. And the test with the 0W20 is finished, so let's go ahead and test the 5W20. And the 5W20 seems to be performing a little bit better than the 0W20, but this is going to be close. And the amount of noise coming from the bearing seems about the same as the 0W20. And the test is finished, so let's take a closer look at each of the test pins under a microscope. And the 0W20 is on the left, and the 5W20 is on the right. And the 5W20 oil has about a 7% smaller wear scar compared to the 0W20 oil. So the 5W30 oil performed the best, but the 5W20 oil performed just about as well. It's very common for people to refer to W in motor oil as weight, but the W in motor oil actually stands for winter. It shows the viscosity level of oil when the oil is very cold. So let's see if the 0W oils flow faster than the 5W oils next. Both the new as well as the cooked oils have been in the freezer for over 12 hours. So let's kick off the test with the uncooked oil first. And the 0W16 oil seems unfazed by the negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit temperature and is out of the gate in a hurry. And both 0W oil should be flowing about the same pace, but the 0W20 seems like it's unaware that the race is underway. And the race is pretty much over with the 0W16 oil crossing the finish line before any of the other oils are out of the gate. And the 0W20 and 5W20 oils are finally out of the gate after about a 45-second warm-up. And the 5W30 oil is really lagging behind the other three oils. And the 0W20 oil is barely holding a lead over the 5W20 oil and just crossed the finish line in 1 minute and 54 seconds. And the 5W20 oil finished in 1 minute and 57 seconds. And the 5W30 oil just crossed the finish line in close to 2.5 minutes. And heat exposure can really have a negative impact on oil performance. So let's see how the oils perform after an intense 2-hour heat exposure. And once again, the 0W16 is out of the gate fast and the other oils are frozen stiff. And the 0W16 oil lost quite a bit of speed after heat exposure, but is still very fast in 43.6 seconds. And the 0W20 and 5W20 oils are once again out of the gate at about the same time in just over a minute. This time, the 0W20 oil is off to a much faster lead and is holding a much stronger lead throughout the entire race. And the 0W20 oil just crossed the finish line in 2 minutes and 22 seconds, or almost 30 seconds slower after heat exposure. And the 5W20 oil just finished the race in almost 40 seconds slower than the uncooked oil. And the 5W30 oil needed almost 43 seconds longer. So the heat definitely had an impact on performance of all the oils. So low viscosity oil flows faster, which is supposed to help with fuel efficiency. However, low viscosity oil doesn't seem to offer quite as much wear protection as oil with higher viscosity. If you'd like to see the original oil analysis results, I'll leave a link in the video description to all 4 reports.
Not the patron?
The oils, I've consolidated the results.
I don't think he has a patron.
Chart. Aluminum, iron, and tin are considered impurities or wear metals. And the oil samples look really good with only trace levels of impurities. Barium, boron, calcium, and magnesium are detergents or dispersants. They play a very important role for keeping the inside of an engine clean. And the 0W16 has a pretty big advantage over the other viscosities with a total of just over 1,800 parts per million. The other 3 viscosities are pretty evenly matched at around 1,300 parts per million. Anti-wear additives are incredibly important for engine life and performance. And all the oils are pretty similar, with the 0W16 having a small advantage over the others. The TBN, or total base number, is the ability of the oil to neutralize acids. Once again, the 0W16 has the highest TBN of 7.1. So only taking into account the additive package, the 0W16 came out on top. However, it is a very thin oil. This 2020 Chevrolet uses 0W20 oil instead of 5W30, and the oil pressure at idle is just above 20 psi. According to the dealership, this is considered normal oil pressure due to the low viscosity of the oil. On the other hand, this 2003 Chevrolet with over 300,000 miles and 9,000 hours of use has higher oil pressure at idle with 5W30 oil. With lower oil pressure, I'll be very curious to see if this 2020 engine will last 300,000 miles. There's a lot of debate online as to whether or not it's safe to use 5W30 instead of 0W16 or 20. My suggestion is to just use the oil that's called for by the manufacturer, just to be safe.
As it is pretty much everywhere.
Channel, including this one, are viewer suggested.
As it is pretty much everywhere, that if people question whether or not they should change their oils, everyone pretty much just says just use whatever the manufacturer recommends, because they don't really have any idea. It's the safest bet, is basically just to use, unless you're some sort of technical individual, safest bet is to always just use whatever the manufacturer recommends, no matter what. A good test is basically synthetic versus, which he did already, synthetic versus normal oil.
So if you have a video idea,
but
hope you take time to
I
leave
guess
it down there. Thanks so much for watching. Please take care and look forward to next time.
the thin oil does cause more damage to engine, less wear protection. Okay, what is going on with my laptop? I don't even know where my CPU utilization is going. I'm just at 100% CPU utilization somewhere. And thermal throttling? Probably thermal throttling, guys. It's throttling. Surely it's throttling. Doing the throttle. Actually doesn't look like it. Just at 100% utilization... something. Like, you can look at CPU utilization and see that it's not actually being utilized. Reason Kick's using a lot of CPU cycles. Don't know why. Good evening, Marvel. No idea. Yep, just having the Kick dashboard open uses 100% of my CPU. Somewhere. It's doing something somewhere. I'm a great person. You're a great person, Marvel. Thank you. What a nice guy. Yes. Okay. Let's move along. On to the Reddit's here. See what's going on in the Reddit's, guys. Good. I went from being a healer to a DPS. Upvote me, okay? Because healers are always the underdog. The best Zen player. 1,045% win percentage. Good. Banking. Yeah. I genuinely don't know how to counter Orisa, Bastion, Zen comps. It's ruining the game for me. Run a tank buster. Which, there's other tank busters besides Bastion, such as Reaper, Symmetra, Pharah's ult is a tank buster, although you usually die using it before you can kill anything. Sombra. And Zen, if you have problems with Zen, there's backline dive that can take care of Zen. Bastion's just another DPS, which you hide when he goes tank mode. Or you bop him, or you CC him, or you do anything where you work around characters in the game. Good. AMD Reddits. 7,800 benchmark leaks. Oh. DVD Reddits. Xenomorph was everything to me, but they took her, and with her, they took my kindness and my mercy. That was their mistake, because now all I've got left is a cold heart. Fuck. Someone's, tripping out of their mind and decided to make a Reddit post. Okay. Alright guys, I gotta wash my coffee cup out and then we're gonna play Gamazes. My laptop is literally just vomiting right now. I guess we're just gonna let it vomit till I'm done streaming. We're back, guys. Grab water too. It is hot as bejesus, guys. Holy jeez. What the fuck am I? Why am I in other watch party now? What? Dude. Kick is out to get me. They have like AI moving people around or something? Like what is just chatting reserved for hot tub streamers or what? What's going on here? There's like 5 million people in just chatting. Why am I no longer allowed to be in just chatting, guys? Is there even anyone in other watch party? Other. Yeah, there's a couple people here. But like, what? What are they doing? Must be run by AI. It's totally run by AI. There I am now. There's a chair. What's going on here? Why? Alright, let's play actual Overwatch. Now we're going to change our category out of just chatting. Just chatting I thought was just always a catch-all. Like on Twitch, it's just a catch-all for everything. Like, it doesn't matter. Like the default directory I go to when I don't, you know, like, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be. My laptop is still vomiting. God. So for some reason, the small preview on the dashboard is actually it's like 1080p, and you can't turn it down. My laptop might just be exploding too. What I get to deal with for probably about a month is what this is going to be, so. Fixed my trackpad, it was janky as fuck. Yep. Alright, let's find some cheaters, guys. Let's go cheater hunting. I also still want my new modder, PG248QP. Still is not released yet. Hopefully before the end of the year. Hopefully before the end of the year. Leaks said is possibly in September or October. But it was supposed to be in like the first, or Q2, and that never happened, so. Who the fuck knows anymore? I don't know why it's not using my dedicated GPU. Oh. Do that. Luckily I have a Stream Deck, so I can just... change it with my fingertips. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ready to see me do some surgery, guys? Good evening, Eth. Maybe I should change my name to the surgeon, and then everyone would come by and ask if I actually do surgery. And I'd be like, no, it's just because I barely move my hand. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And then they'd leave. Alrighty. No, I just have dexterous hands. Think the males are related to each other? Yep. Which one's the chick? Don't know. Good evening, Etho. If I didn't say that. Sometimes I look at chat and I see stuff and then I don't respond to it. And I forget that I didn't respond to it.
I hope they put up a fight.
Sometimes I think in my head that I'm going to respond to something and then I just don't open my mouth.
Good leadership makes all the difference. Flying the friendly skies.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm off first point. First game. Okay, and they're going to come through here. Because they already have. Okay. Huh? That sucks. You can't slide through these little holes. I don't know why, but you can't fit through them. The game doesn't let you. What about it? Alright, let's go say hi to the Moira. Regroup here. Get some piss. Like that. Lost her Moira. Oh my god, my E fucked up. I hate that bug. I don't even know what it is. But if you click it, sometimes it'll pop backwards. Like you shoot, like look at that. They literally just lined it up perfectly for the soldier.
The skies await. Repositioning.
Lifeweaver here.
Oh my god. Piece of shit, that's RNG lucky. You didn't know I was gonna ult there. Like, I was actually baiting it too. I was waiting for him to do it and he just didn't do it. Like, okay, I'll go in and do it. Huh? Maria's, there she is. Gonna die. No. Ground comms. Good.
Lost. Next, flashpoint, bomb flats.
On. Game should really tell you. It tells you where the enemy spawn is. Our entire team just got to see the fucking soldier completely out of position. No one attacked him. Game. That's an aimbot. Good. Parallel linear velocity and acceleration. Rotation. Oh, mercy. Aim? That guy's aim is all over the place, too. Good.
Positioning healing pylon.
Oh. Okay. He heals. Cut. Whatever. That's fine. Fucking team's worthless, guys. I mean, our team's fine. No one went into the point! The countdown's happening, no one goes to the point, including the tank is just sitting there. Just sitting there with their thumb up their ass. Doing nothing. At all. Just watching it tick down. And you're like, oh, maybe I should get... No, I'm dead. They all died there anyways. Like, what's the point of doing that if you aren't going to go to the point and you just die outside the point? You don't go to the new point.
Increasing altitude.
100% accurate. Alari. For hits.
Need reinforcements. Can I get an ETA?
Kill.
Taking off.
Zenyatta is here.
Because they know no one else on their team even matters, so they're just shooting at me. Christ. No. Entire fucking team.
Repositioning.
Oh, nice game. Report soldier. Which is this guy. What is this? GM? Nope. That's a diamond, apparently. Platinum diamond? Someone bought an account.
The game.
Okay. Take a look at Alari. No idea what that game was, guys. I had absolutely no one went to the point. Didn't do anything. Time.
Ready for battle.
Like, what's the point of even being in there? Let's fast forward.
Next flashpoint.
Like, they didn't even, like, our team didn't even try it for the last 2 points. They didn't even give a shit.
Healing pylon deployed.
His aim is literally all over the place.
One healing. Hurry up.
In 10 seconds.
Come to me. I'll heal you.
Brown shooting me.
The objective is mine. Show me your
Actually, looks like the Lari's not missing anymore. Yeah. Him. Hits. What the fuck is this guy doing? That's the team right there. He just went to a pillar and just started watching people through the wall? Okay. Snapping people behind walls. This was a shit show, guys.
Point unlocks in 10 seconds.
Putting aside the sus shit, like, these guys aren't really that good. They just didn't have a team.
I was made for this. Keep it together. Killing by 1 hour.
Heroes never die.
For extending, didn't get punished at all. Bait tree, team's not even there anymore. Fucking spraying. Alright. Oh. Probably, that's one of those things where you'd have to watch multiple games there. But we can't, because we're not Blizzard. I don't get paid to do this anyways! Like, I literally don't get paid. I get paid nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Strike from above. Double and clean kill.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Aerial positioning underway.
Bitch, you're a fat boy. Get out of here.
I'm on top of the world. Blasted. Messy, but we got it done. Double.
Bitch. You. And you. And you.
Hitting my shots. Double.
And maybe you. And you.
Triple kill.
And you.
Confirmed.
You. And.
Don't think so.
Boop. Next game.
Prepare for battle. Select your hero.
Laptop still using 100% of my processor. No apparent reason other than having the Kick dashboard open. An old, like it's a laptop, a 4-core laptop from like 2018, I would say. Just not where you want to be. My new one is an 8-core, Ryzen 8-core. Fantastic.
No one's a natural. We all have to put in the work. Hello.
Oh, a guy cheats. Good.
4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture.
It's at your service. Mercy on call. Hey, it's vehicle.
I knew I could count on you. Dispersing. I will love the enemy here.
The objective is now active.
Hi.
All systems nominal. Increasing altitude. I see an enemy. Terminated.
I'll make sure that doesn't stop.
Excellent teamwork. Enemy here. I am empowered. I see an enemy.
Use out of position.
Enemy here.
Run, he did.
Over here. Over there.
Very accurate. Like a bone mesh, there's a high amount of vertical deviation and almost no left-right deviation to account for it, which is the bone mesh. It crawls up and down your body. It looks like that.
Repositioning.
Ah,
What's up? I knew it. I see an enemy.
Heroes never die.
En route. Guide you.
I might have been able to shift him or Q him. Like right there, I might have been able to kill him. Maybe.
Let's
Possibly.
show 'em some air power.
I was gonna die either. More than likely, was gonna die, but I tried to get behind cover instead. Didn't happen. What the fuck was up there, Kiriko?
Enemy over here.
Here's the Anna I was looking for. I tried to find Anna, and I couldn't see her, so then I just killed the soldier instead. You have to kill Anna right away so you don't get sleep darted.
Always more to learn.
Objectives mine.
En route. Aerial positioning underway.
Better than last match, though, so...
Oh, thanks for the assist.
He had that.
I see an enemy. On the move.
I know there's a window there. Bye. actually get out of.
I don't think so.
Trying to avoid. The soldier's definitely cheating.
I
Good.
don't stay down.
I've got you in my sight.
En route.
EMP?
Establishing aerial position. I'm on top of the world.
Agree. Gotta pad that KD.
Score
Good.
1.
Apparently our Ashe is killing everything. Well, we're getting focus. Well, Ashe is killing everyone? Good.
They have this coming. So let's get
It looked like the soldier was actually just starting to ignore me. I don't know exactly why, but I think it's so I wouldn't actually try to aggro to him. I think he's doing that to avoid me shooting at him, which I guess allowed him to kill everyone, so I guess works out, right?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
repositioning. I will not waste this opportunity. They outnumber us. Keep it tight. Messy, but we got it done.
Died. Good.
Shake it off.
I don't even know if the kick dashboard's working properly because my CPU is just sitting at 100%. There's something wrong with my laptop. I need to like reinstall I already reinstalled drivers.
Aerial positioning underway.
Oh,
I don't think so. Excellent teamwork. I've got you covered. I will not waste this opportunity.
uh,
En route. There's much for you to do. I see an enemy.
and fucking soldier came around the corner and instantly brained me. Hi! Hi, Cheater Chan. Oh my god, all my health is gone. Good.
Always more to learn. Increasing altitude.
I've got you in my sight. I'm feeling unstoppable.
Everyone's dead.
I am empowered.
Far up. Almost wasn't worth it. He overextended. Good.
My heroes never die.
Taking off. Justice reigns from above.
Thanks for landing. Oh, I just E'd too.
Taking to the air.
Nice.
Affirmative. I'm here to support.
My shift just ran me into that little side, and I lost my entire momentum upwards because of it. Just ate that to the face. Anna.
Excellent teamwork. Taken down.
Okay. Yeah, Zarya's supporting me now too. Trying to get a fucking peeky. He's trying to get a fucking cheeky peek on me, guys. You need to win. He got a cheeky peek on me. And we killed him. How's your evening going, Edwin?
Systems nominal. Positioning.
I'm on fire.
No. He's dead, at least. Where we want to be. How's your day going? It's hot as shit right now, guys. I had my ice cream cooler on my neck. Oh my god.
Shake it off.
It looks like the Genji's now Ash. Better soldier changed. And make this we can.
Team hit round.
And it's hot as shit. We had it wasn't supposed to be 100 today. This guy's definitely cheating, by the way. It wasn't supposed to be 100 today, but it is. It's fucking 100F. I don't know what that is in your non-human numbers that you use in other parts of the world. Yeah. In Wisconsin, in September, it's 100. 2 days in a row.
I will not waste this
Good stuff. In where I live, at least.
Yes.
Whatever awaits us,
Hello.
I am prepared.
Might see the other DPS start cheating too. I'm pretty sure I reported the other guy before. We haven't seen anything outside the ordinary for the real numbers. Real numbers are what applies to humans. We're human. Human system is what it needs to be. Not a science system. That doesn't make sense.
Thanks for the assist.
Fucking guy. Just a fucking aimbot over there. He knows exactly where to position. Like a turret. So you have maximal FOV. What the fuck is that shit? You see how he just ran around the corner? Is it a Me Too Pharah? Heard of Pharah.
Forgiveness is earned. Repositioning.
Now? Right on my face. We're gonna take a look at the Ashe at the end of this. Yeah, she's just fucking doing that to fuck with me. Fuck off, dude. Like, we can go in. Maybe we can take pressure off the doorway. Fucking right on my face again. I'm pretty sure that guy's cheating. Like, right behind cover, right on my face.
Over there. Increasing out. I see an enemy. Move.
What the fuck? Fuck's what?
Taking off.
Okay.
I look after my own.
Like, where he went just didn't even make sense to me. gonna get in time. This guy is definitely just trying to stalk me around the fucking map, be an asshole. Probably because he knows I'm doing work. This is what happens at like high level of cheating. Just get shit like that. Is really fucking obnoxious. Apparently he's not good enough to actually... That was really weird. He's not good enough to do that with Tracer. If you guys notice when I moved to the side, it was an instantaneous track with me. Sometimes, depending on the cheat, you'll actually see that with an aimbot. Like... Yeah. Touch. Let's take a look at the groups real quick here before this group disbands. Comes in a group. We're gonna take a look at the Anna.
Face the sunrise.
The Anna, the soldier was definitely cheating, and Ash just kept throwing fucking C4 on me at the end. Good for him. Jeez Christ. Let's so like hubris and ego, guys. The number one reason people cheat is hubris and ego. When things get tough, they want to be right on top of anything that happens. So like as the match gets more and more heated, you'll get more and more people that toggle. Sometimes people will only toggle if things get difficult. This guy was just fucking running around doing jack shit the entire game, just jerking off with his aimbot. Yeah, let's take a look at the fucking Ash. Like I said, I thought that guy was cheating. I didn't know about the other two guys, because we reported them before. And it was at the end there, basically, when he went Ash, is when things started getting weird. Starfield has lots of bugs. I didn't hear about that. People are just angry that it's, like, instanced. People don't like that it's instanced, because you can't fly to the fucking sun or Pluto. Get over yourself. What the fuck is that shit? Bug-wise, I don't think there's a lot of bugs in the game. And there are also people complain about lack of DLSS as well. Go to Ash footage.
Positioning healing pylon.
Either way, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bug fixes. Was that a snap through the wall and a track? That way. There?
Death spiral.
Trying to shoot. He didn't have health bars on the guy because he's behind the little dragon head here, so you couldn't actually see the position of that player. And then what we top edge. He's actually looking at me. Or he's seeing me. And aim between the slats. This is where it started getting obnoxious because he just started throwing dynamite on top of me over and over and over again. Free aim. This is a dead giveaway right here. Might have still had health bars. Health bars disappear relatively fast, especially when you get healed. I actually need to test that with someone at some point. Right here, when I'm about to come over the edge. There. Surprise! That's even before you can see my health bar, so this guy's definitely cheating. How dare you cheat with the mouse? You can't even aim. What? Okay. What does it do? This guy's definitely cheating. It wasn't until the end when things got heated. Take a look at the Ana now. The Ana we saw parallel linear velocity after a shot, which is usually a bug of an aimbot. Did you get banned or something? Ah, we get a couple cheater haters in here that we've gotten them banned or their friends' accounts banned, and they don't like it for some strange reason. As the Ana. Not a false report. We literally looked at the demo and I literally mentioned why I was reporting that guy. You'll be sorry, mister! You'll be sorry! Okay, dude. Like, the funny thing is about escalation guys with people that cheat, they can't really make your games any more miserable because they're already fucking cheating, and the more blatant they get, the more likely they are to get banned, so... No. Okay. Not miss. Okay.
Sorry.
Probably could watch something better than Bob's Burgers, by the way. That would have hit me if I was moving in a linear fashion. Wait, what? I may be out of, I thought you were just making fun of my aim. You can't just go 180 degrees and expect people not to remember what you're just saying. Oh, party foul! Party foul! Burp, burp, burp. Did you guys catch it? Did you catch it? This is an immediate no-no. Goodbye, no-life turtle. This is an immediate no-no. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh!
Affirmative.
Forgiveness is earned.
Oh, yeah, they immediately stopped when they knew what they're doing. They thought the Mercy was behind the pillar. She wasn't.
Forgiveness is earned.
This is in... This is expecting the Mercy to be behind the pillar when in fact she was behind two walls. Yeah. Overwatch Enforcer, guys. Yeah, there's almost the amount of people that actually report cheating versus the amount of people that shit talk anyone that thinks someone cheats in a game is astronomically different. Astronomically different. So, if you guys look here, what actually happens is the Mercy comes out behind the pillar. This guy has slow reaction time, as you can tell, which is why he fucking zoomed on the Mercy in the first place. He realized what he was doing in the middle of it, and then he unzoomed immediately when he realized the Mercy was behind a second wall.
Gracias.
See me here. And then he thinks the Mercy, after she spawns, actually right in front, like on the side of the wall right here. She thinks that the Mercy is crossing behind this wall here, and is behind the pillar right here. Right here? She's actually behind two walls. She's behind the pillar and behind the main wall. Like moving into position to shoot the Mercy right now, which he was doing already, mind you. And then slow reaction time where he zooms in on the Mercy, then he realizes what he's doing and immediately unzooms and hopes no one caught that. 8-10. But yeah, if you think I'm doing this for publicity or something, almost everyone thinks that anyone that reports people is just full of shit. And they're just bitter and sour and jaded. You're in no position to police others. What does it even mean? I don't ban people. I report them to Blizzard. Blizzard bans them. If they're getting banned, that's Blizzard doing it. Because they agree with what I'm doing or agree with my report. There's nothing... I'm not reporting them. That's a pretty big one. That, like, it... You could definitely sum this up as, like, the slow reaction time. There's no reason to be zooming here. This isn't an angle at all. That was purely for the Mercy he was following. Oh, did you just do it to me, too? While I was behind the pillar? No. Actually, he did at Z height. But at least he had a prompt this time. He saw me prior to it. Yeah, it's 100% a guy that's probably gotten banned, and he realizes what's happening here, and he doesn't like it, because, like, the two things that really help... Cheating's not going away. There is absolutely no way cheating's going away in any way, shape, or form. Until AI anti-cheat comes around, there's no way this is going to get taken care of. And what cheaters don't like is when you notice what's going on, and you educate people as to what to look for behavior for cheating. Like looking at people through walls is generally... no matter how good you get at this game, guys, Your third eye, Jagan, does not open on your forehead and you can all of a sudden see through walls. It doesn't happen. I'm sorry. It doesn't happen. You know, the best you can do is with spatial awareness with surround sound. That's about what you can do. And Belcher, if you guys didn't know, is Bob's Burgers name, so this guy's probably a dumbass, but, you know. As I mentioned before, like, when we play Dead by Daylight, you can kind of sum up cheaters in one of two categories. One is someone that's basically, like, borderline psychopathic, and the other one's just people that are really dumb. It's usually people that aren't not really dumb, but not very smart. That's a shot. Why are you going through and deleting all your messages now? Like, what's the point of that? Like, weirdly enough, on YouTube, people can actually, like, retract their comments, which is basically deleting your own comment. I wonder if you can turn that feature off. I don't know exactly why it exists. You already said that, and then you deleted it. Why are you saying it again? I can still see it. Other people can't. like, are you trying to act in a different way than what you just... It's in the VOD, too, because it's in the little top left. That's actually, like, seared into the VOD. So, like, people can go back through and see what it looks like in the first place. He's fucking deleting his comments now. Like, I can still delete. Like, I can still ban you, too. Like, if you think that's, like getting around me being able to ban you, I 100% can still ban you. Even when, like, I get a little message retracted thing that I can click on and see what the comment is, and I can still ban you on YouTube. So, like, is this, like, a way of avoiding me banning you? I don't know why you're doing it. So sometimes there's a weird bug with Anna where there's like an open and close time on the aimbot in which it will basically hard track the player. I've noticed this before. And what you'll see, you didn't see it just now as I hit my concussion, but if the shot happens within like 250 ms of when someone uses a movement ability, let's say 250 ms of when someone uses a movement ability, the cursor hard locks to the player while they're moving. And that's what I saw in, like, I didn't even see this shit. What I saw was in round 3, where basically they had a hard lock on me during the middle of the shot, which is what we're going to look at in a second here. Hey, there is no publicity in any way, shape, or form from people like reporting or looking at people cheating in video games. People think that there's a lot of people that don't think people cheat at video games for some reason. All you have to do is type Overwatch cheats into Google if you want to figure that out for yourself.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, he's using the swears now. He's using the swears. It's not even a swear, by the way. Streams me, I think? No. You're not even spelling damn right. What's the point of that? Like, did I just get you banned? Is this you? Are we about to report you? We had a guy in here the other night that apparently became the person that I was reporting. It was like Serial something or another. Syria. I don't remember the guy's name, but as it turned out throughout the conversation, we learned that he is actually the player that I was reporting. Apparently, whether or not that's true or not, you know, there's no way to confirm it. It was actually the player that I reported. Yeah. Which is kind of weird. I don't understand how people find my channel. You know, like, I'm not even on Twitch anymore. Find my channel to figure out that I'm reporting them in the game. Then again, we got like a cheater Discord that follows me, follows my channel, and occasionally they stop and try to shit talk me. Oh. How's the balls there? Like, he literally looked over because he thought the ball was going to come out the window. There's no indication the ball was there. He couldn't hear him. Look at this. The ball's coming over here. And he thinks the ball's going to come out the window right now. He's not looking at the window. He's not looking at the window, guys. He's looking at the ball through the wall. Oh, I'm just going to act oblivious now? Okay. Oh, was that... Flak is closest, guys. Flak is closest when you're closer to home. So, if we are using the crowd consensus of Belcher, he also understands that this was a really, really bad spot. Let's see. So we probably should add this to our timestamps too, because Belcher's getting pretty heated. You're not catching all of your messages either. What are you doing? There you go. So he thought this was a good spot, hence why he's spamming chat now. Right there, 1046. I wasn't even going to add that. I thought that it was actually pretty good enough without this, but I guess we'll add that to the. We'll add this interesting wall look here to the report. He fucking knew that ball was there. So hard. Thanks for helping me with my report, by the way. I appreciate it. So as I mentioned, guys, the whole reason we're watching this guy wasn't is because I saw something weird in round 3. This is round 2. This is stuff that happened that I didn't even notice was going on in the game, because we're basing this off of... Yeah, I don't know why... Like, loser's not even a swear word. I don't know why he's even bothering... I don't even know why he's bothering with spelling it wrong. Unless he doesn't... I kind of doubt he doesn't know how to spell it right, but, you know... Let's see if we can find that,
Every battle makes me strong.
parallel linear rotation. That was pretty good.
Hey,
Ready. 5,
Ah, Max.
3, 2, 1.
Round 3. Capture the objective.
And by the way, if you're curious basically on whether or not people I report getting banned, the amount of people that I see that are the same name that I've reported already showing up again in my games is about 1 in 20. So 5% of my reports generally are people that I never, like, are someone that I see on multiple occasions. If it's someone that cheats regularly and they're sometimes hard to catch, I'll put them on a block list. And that allows me basically to know which their battle tag is, so which allows me to know whether or not they pick a new, like if they buy a new account and a name change it. It also allows me to figure out if I've reported them and there's someone that's hard to catch. And it's maybe 1 in 20 people that I report. We see. Sometimes you'll see them for multiple days in a row and then they disappear because Blizzard takes a while to ban people, so.
This is not the end.
Kill if I went out. Forgiveness is
This is also curious, by the way, if you guys are curious why people can have an aimbot and AD strafing doesn't work on them, or excuse me, AD strafing does work, i.e. they miss, is because aimbots oftentimes have a humanization function, which can be different things on how long it takes to lock onto a target, how fast the snap happens, when it does happen, if it's a magnetic pull. There's all different sorts of variables that they can tweak to figure out when the crosshair locks onto someone. What happens, especially if they have a min-lock distance, when someone's going like this, back and forth between each other, is the humanization function doesn't have time to lock onto the character before they get out of range of the crosshair. And that means that basically their aimbot doesn't work, and they have to depend on prediction and actually aiming normally. And what you'll oftentimes see is just like what happened just now, is the person misses, where if the player moves in a linear fashion for a decent amount of time, that they'll actually hit. And like you can see how far behind his aim was too. So it's not even like remotely normal in terms of reaction time. AD strafing still works on people relatively well unless they're cheating super hard and they have a really long like lock distance, like a big lock distance on it. And that's very easy to notice. It works pretty well when people are doing AD spam. So AD spam is back and forth strafing.
On my way. On my way.
forgiveness is earned. Thank you. Forgiveness is earned.
Got it.
Roger that.
I need assistance.
This soldier was super hard aimbotting, by the way. And Ash started aimbotting later in the match, and it looks like the Ana was aimbotting and just cheating in general the entire match. But didn't really notice it because she wasn't being offensive.
I need that.
By the way, like, we could look at everyone on our team. Sometimes it's pretty clear that someone on our team's cheating. The reason we don't do that is because I could spend a shitload of time. Like, I actually want to play the game at a certain level, right? And the reason we look at other characters is because I have inferences. I have death cams and notice things that are happening in the game when I'm playing against them, where I can actually have a... Like, I'm not going to look at the other two guys on the team, the Doomfist or the Lari.
Get in there, Bob. Get in there, Bob.
That could just be because people were over there. There's too many people there to, like that, for that to actually be a good indicator. This guy's actually snapping away from targets, causing them to miss too. Actually looks like his aim is worse compared to round 2. He's missing more. Tunneling hard to the Lari. So, like I mentioned, there's like an open and close time on certain abilities, and most ones are just a shot. I believe the grenade here actually goes along with the Mercy. Doesn't. Guy's aim is all over too. Very accurate now. I swear she came in the doorway. She shot us in the doorway, didn't she? Is it the Lari that did that? There it is. That's what I remember. There. That's what I was talking about. Like I said, there's like an open and close time on the fire. It happened like right when I use my ability. He fires, and it's like locked in my body when it happens. It's like a 200 ms window. There's going to be obviously a little bit of delay because there's still netcode that operates in the background, and projectiles are aimbot, or excuse me, projectiles are more prone to error due to netcode. They're more delayed. That's what I noticed. It wasn't in, I thought it was in the doorway. There's a lot of stuff to notice in the game. All going on. 8. There. Okay. Turtle. Bye, Mr. Turtle. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You guys are, and then the last guy. This wasn't all at once. That's a fucking... That's a diamond. That's not a diamond. Oh, it's a silver. Yeah, that's a silver, by the way. Probably someone that either had their account compromised or the account was bought. 5 is when he bought his gaming chair. Good for him. So this is probably when the account was bought, is right here. Or compromised bought, whatever. Don't know. Alrighty. It's kind of fun when you can see people's origin stories, guys, in their match history. That's great. I love seeing origin stories when people buy their gaming chair. It's good to know. We're going to call things here for this evening, though, guys. I have to make sure to maintain my sleep schedule, so that is what it is. We are definitely going to be playing Starfield, which is either tomorrow, so not tonight's stream, tomorrow night's stream. Tonight's stream will still probably be Overwatch 2, or the day after. It depends on when the release cycle happens for the game. I don't know if it's going to be midnight or whatever. So it's going to either be tomorrow or the day after. Alrighty, guys, we are out of here for this evening, guys. If you are new to the stream, enjoyed the bullshit, enjoyed the fun, you enjoyed all the cheaters hating on me for my copium, make sure to hit the follow button on your select platform. I stream to Kick, Facebook, as well as YouTube Live every day from late night to early morning, GMT-6. So about 11 p.m. Central Standard Time to 4 a.m., give or take. Depends on my life, what's happening, etc., etc., as I do have other jobs, and they take precedence over streaming. So, yeah. And yeah, we're going to call things here for this evening, guys. Had lovely, delightful conversations. Apparently, Dick Belcher was very angry that I was reporting people. I'm not exactly sure why, considering he doesn't have a horse in the race, right? He's just a random chatter, but, you know, that'll happen. So, yeah, we're going to call things here for this evening, guys. Tomorrow will be more of the OW2s. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my stream as always, and I hope you guys have a wonderfully fantastic Monday night and Tuesday morning. Have a good day.